Guys, go ahead and drop where you're from in the chat. I see a lot of people hopping in. I know we're about to go live on Facebook. Looks like we're officially live. You know what's funny? I was going to tell you before we get started, you were just talking about staying at home and everything. I had a kind of a high level exec meeting with someone from Zillow, and literally they're at home and their kids are screaming. I was laughing just because it's like everyone, doesn't matter what level, everyone's affected. And it was funny. I was like, okay, this is great.
That is the new normal. Kids screaming in the background, dogs barking. I mean, if anything, it just makes me feel like everyone else is equally as human as I am.
Exactly. Because normally you'd get like really like, oh my God, like just so like anxiety, but
right.
It's the new norm. But anyway, all right, guys, LabCoatAgents. Today we are going to be talking about Instagram for realtors. Myself, Dean Aguilar. I am the CEO of Dean Aguilar Group, real estate team here in San Diego, and Digital Muse, which is a personal branding company. And I have the lovely Katie from Back at You.
Yes, my name's Katie Callaway. I'm with Back at You here in Los Angeles, California, and I'm our marketing manager over here. And anything social media that you guys need handled as real estate professionals, that's exactly what we do. In fact, we are both Facebook marketing partners who, if you don't know, Facebook does own Instagram. So as a byproduct, we are Instagram marketing partners, as well as we are partners with the National Association of Realtors. So very much that intersection of social media and real estate. So you're in really good hands today.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So for any of you who do not know about Back at You, they're an amazing, amazing company. Katie will talk a little bit about some of the things that you have to offer here later on. But I wanted to chat with you because, man, Instagram has changed so much. Algorithms, features, competition has done a lot to that as well, right? So let's chat. Let's dive in. And guys, for you guys on the call, feel free to drop any questions that you have. We're going to be monitoring the chats and try to address them as much as we can here on the call. Katie, so talk to me real quick because, you and I both know while Instagram has changed the way that feeds look and how they deliver the content to with their algorithms and stuff like that, so has the way of like content creators are now putting their content out, like, different styles and stuff. What have you guys noticed from last year, maybe the year before, to what you can expect it to be? And maybe the same for you guys. I'd like to get your take on what you feel is like changing or working.
Of course. Well, as we know, so much changed just in the year 2020 alone. I mean, already we were very much a society that was dependent upon screens, but with the pandemic and being confined to our own homes, that reliability on screens has just skyrocketed. So people are spending more time on Instagram, more time on social media, more time in front of their television. You name it, there's going to be a screen in front of them, just like we are having these conversations with y'all today.
Yeah.
One of the things that I personally have noticed really ramp up in 2020, but also I'm going to see this pattern continuing in 2021, is the adoption of a business account or a creator account on Instagram, as opposed to utilizing a personal account to do business. So years ago, Instagram was separate from Facebook. They were a separate social media platform. Facebook bought them. And because of that, Instagram ended up adopting a lot of those iconic features that Facebook had. Like Facebook, you could have your personal page, then you have a business page. Well, with Instagram, they did something very, very similar. And now we're seeing a ton of people adopt the usage of a business page as a real estate professional for so many reasons, right? You can run ads, which you cannot do via a personal account. You can also look at your analytics and see if you're targeting the correct people. You can have your contact information embedded on the profile. I mean, we could go on and on about the benefits of having a business account on Instagram, but for real estate professionals in particular, it's really nice to have all of that information hubbed into one spot. And not enough people right now are adopting it. I think it is going to go up, but if you don't currently have a business profile on Instagram, it is going to save your life. And at the end of the day, the functionality of the app of Instagram works pretty much the same way. So you're not really having to relearn any of the processes of posting videos or uploading stories or posting, even just a photo or a listing. The functionality is the same. You just get tons of benefits with that.
100%. You know, so that's one of the top questions we get asked is, and I'm sure you do as well. It's like, should I use my personal account? Should I create a business account? Should I create multiple accounts? You know, and the answer is always the same, whether it's personal or business or whatever, we highly always suggest them to go with business, because number one, for us, it's mainly more of the analytics, right? The analytics behind what's working, what's not working, especially like in Instagram stories and the feed. You know, I think a lot of people make the mistake of just posting out content to post out content, but you're not really tracking. And just like you said, you can't really track what's working unless you have a business account to be able to see the analytics to do so, you know? So you're right. I think it's really highly important. One thing that I noticed is, and you tell me, the use of IGTV since Reels have come in, it seems to have shifted a little bit, right? Because when IGTV was like introduced, it was really meant to kind of go head to head with YouTube and all that stuff, right? Because they're like, okay, hey, we're gonna try to compete, and they're gonna start placing ads in the IGTVs and stuff like that. Get all that, but then TikTok comes around, and TikTok then forces IG's hand, right, so to speak, and says, hey, we're gonna take some of your viewership away. So now they come out with Reels. Now, what I've noticed on our clients, my personal content, Reels has literally outperformed by 10 times any video that we've ever put out for anything, even when IGTV was first rolled out. The algorithm on Reels has just been astronomical. So tell me kind of what you're seeing. I mean, are you feeling the same way where you're kind of seeing that?
Oh, absolutely. And this is something that goes with Facebook and Instagram. Anytime they release a new feature, their algorithm is going to push it to the top, right? That's just how it works. So anytime there's a new feature released on Instagram, whether it's Reels, whether it's who knows what they come out with next, make sure to adopt it and learn it as quickly as possible, because if you're utilizing it, your engagement is going to skyrocket. And that's just because the algorithm is going to favor the usage of those new features. But absolutely. And as far as IGTV goes, I don't necessarily see it going anywhere. I think they'll keep that feature because people do want long form video content on Instagram. But with that said, absolutely. The reason that Reels, in my opinion, are so successful, and TikTok is so successful, is people have short attention spans. People don't
really do. Oh my gosh.
watch a 20-minute tour on their phone. I mean, on YouTube, on your TV or a computer, longer form videos make sense. However, when people are on Instagram and are quickly scrolling and quickly digesting content, they're going to want easy to absorb content as well, which is where Reels, stories all come into play.
Yep. You make a good point. So like, we always talk, buddy Sharon and I, we always talk about the same thing, which is anytime there's like a sticker that gets launched in stories. I know it sounds so silly to a lot of people. Like agents are like, what the hell does a sticker have to do with anything? I'm telling you, the goal is to bring in audience, right? The goal is to bring in viewership and engagement. And whenever they launch something, whether it's a brand new service or something on IG or a sticker, magically, guess what happens, right? You have all these set of eyes because they want you to use, it's just so common sense. They want you to use the things that they're rolling out. So for everyone on the call, just a little hack, while you're playing with your Instagram stories or you see a new little feature, it would be to your benefit to use that sticker or that story, because you're going to see something magical happen, which is going to be an astronomical amount of engagement compared to your other posts. So anytime you see that, and a lot of you do use stories, a lot of you follow me and I follow a lot of you. So whenever you see them, definitely use it. One thing that I've noticed about the Reels feature that I want to kind of talk about is some of the best agents that are using Reels, and we talk about this all the time, is I want to give a little strategy for most folks, and then maybe you can chime in on some of the things that are working for back at you for engagement purposes.
Sure.
But you got to understand that Reels is just a 30-second, like they just increased it, right, to 30 seconds. Yeah, so it was 15 seconds at that. I mean, that's tough enough. I can't even I talk so much and so fast that I'm like, even I can't, I think I could get squeezed in 15 seconds, but I can't. Anyway, so 30 seconds, what's been working is we've taken with our clients like the Gary Vee approach. And so what it is essentially for everyone on the call, if you have a longer form video or you want to showcase, and I know this is an agent talk, right? So if we're talking to agents and you want to showcase a behind the scenes or an upcoming listing, what we've noticed that works is either a teaser, which is like the best portion of your video possible. So if you think about Gary Vee's stuff, I don't know if you guys, some people follow him or not. A lot of his videos will start off with like a sound bite of like the most explosive shit in that video, like that just draws you in, right? And then it cuts to the beginning intro and then it goes to the full length video where you'll see the clip embedded. Our agents who are working with us right now are killing it by either doing a blooper version of the video or they're doing the highlight portion of the video, which is then pushing it to an IGTV.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's just a little tidbit for everybody that's on the call here. But like for you guys, what kind of have you seen that's been working like with engagement for your clients at Back at You?
Sure. Well, with Instagram specifically, in terms of engagement, you want to let the piece of content speak for itself. This is a mistake I see with real estate professionals over and over, is where their captions, whether it be, on an IGTV, whether it be on a reel, whether it's text on a story, is just paragraphs on paragraphs on paragraphs. Always remember, even though there is a little bit of desktop functionality with Instagram using your computer, people primarily are using their phones. They're scrolling at a rapid pace, whether they're pumping gas at the gas station or picking up kids at the grocery store. So give context where you need to in a caption, but let the image, let the reel, let the video speak for itself, and then entice them to take a follow-up action, just like Dean was saying. Give them a reason to then dive into the content that you're posting. So that's something that we see as a mistake quite often. Now, in terms of engagement, you have to ask for it, right? Whether it is just giving a little teaser and really prompting them to do their own digging, or ask a question. Now, don't do engagement baiting. This is something that both Facebook and Instagram will flag you on, whether you say, like this post if you like the color green, or share this post if you're a Gemini. Anything that says like, share, or comment if after it will be flagged as engagement baiting. You're really asking for it. Instead, what you want to do, whether it's in the video itself, whether it's in the reel itself or the caption, is ask a more thoughtful question. Like, let's say you're posting a photo of a beautiful kitchen black backsplash of a listing that you have. You could ask a question like, what do you think of this tile? Do you think it should be X, Y, and Z? Or maybe you post a picture of an empty backyard and say, what would you do to fill up this backyard? Those open-ended questions are going to prompt more engagement, because engagement also breeds more engagement. That's something that every single algorithm, no matter if you're using Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, it's a snowball effect. If you get one comment, that's going to snowball into 2, then into 3, and it usually happens very quickly. So you want the most amount of engagement possible as soon as you post whatever piece of content you're posting.
Yep. And so this is great. Let me tag on to that. For everyone on the call, when you do it, first of all, do exactly what Katie said. Okay. Do not say comment below or anything like that, because she's absolutely right. They made it very clear about a year ago, I believe, right, that they were going to start flagging people for that bait. However, when you do get your comments, it's very important to respond back. Now, the number one question I get is, Dean, I don't have time in the day. There's no way I can respond to everyone. And my answer to them is, if a lead responded to you by email, would you just forget about them? Would you just not, I got no time to answer them? The answer is no. This is a conversation. And all sales comes in conversation, right? And so for me, that's one of my biggest things, is like when I'll go through our client's feed, I'm like, man, you had 30 people respond and you said nothing back to anyone. I mean, it's just common sense, right? And just like you said, engagement breeds more engagement. You start commenting back, and what happens with Instagram is they're like, okay, well, these people know each other, or hey, there's a lot of activity happening on Katie's feed. It's a very highly engaged platform. Let's go ahead and show her stuff to more people. That's just common sense. Yeah. So,
I mean, it's in the name too, right? Social media. It's not sales tactic pushing listings and asking for leads media. It's social media. And this year in 2020, we have been talking so much about this, even before COVID-19 hit and all of that. But it's bringing that social element back to the forefront of social media. You want to have those conversations as a two-way conversation, not as a one-way conversation. So yes, you're absolutely right. Make sure to reply to comments, because talking about that snowball effect with engagement is the same way that it works with lead gen, right? Social media is of course top of the funnel. It's how you stay top of mind and engaging with everyone. But as time goes on, that's how you build those relationships, especially whenever interpersonal networking right now is slim to none, depending on where you are in the United States or elsewhere. So definitely always respond back, respond to direct messages, especially, I mean, this is a whole other tangent, but
it really is. It really is. Go ahead though. This
so
is good.
statistically, just so you know, if you post an Instagram story, 1 out of every 5 stories that you post is going to result in a direct message to your Instagram inbox. So going back to utilizing those features on a regular basis, making sure you're mixing up your content, those leads will come in. It might be over time, but absolutely reply to those direct messages, reply to those comments. Not only is it going to favor your business, but it's absolutely going to favor the algorithm gods as well and help push your content up further.
Yeah, I mean, from Instagram themselves, they view engagement as views, likes, shares, saves, and DMs. And you're absolutely right. Is engaging back and forth is key. Let me ask you a question, because this is interesting. I have my own take on some of the mistakes that I see. But what do you see based on all? And you don't have to call anybody out, although if you want to, feel free. Just joking. What do you see as one of the biggest mistakes? Because I know that there's going to be agents on this call going, holy crap, that's me.
Sure.
What is the biggest mistake that agents are making with their content right now or in the past?
Great question. Oh man, there are a few things that immediately come to mind. So one thing that immediately comes to mind for me is just low quality content that is being posted multiple times throughout the day. So meaning posting the same listing or the same, headshot. It could be just very low bar content that is photo only, static image, maybe little to no caption. So quality of content, I think that's a no-brainer. So maybe I'll just put that one to the side. One mistake for real estate people or professionals on a regular basis is whenever with a new listing, and this is very specific to Instagram, this doesn't necessarily apply to other platforms, but on Instagram, putting one listing as a collage of 18 photos. That one I see over and over and over again. Having a collage of photos to promote a listing is not a problem if it's 2-3 images that you can see on your cell phone very clearly. But time and time again, I do see little tiny pixelated images of rooms all squished together. And that really doesn't behoove anyone, you promoting the listing or anyone that actually might be interested in that property, but just can't see what it looks like because everything is squished into one square. Instead, I would suggest taking pieces of that listing and highlights of that listing that are beautiful and promoting them separately. So that way it's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're showing off great features of the house and you get more content out of it as well.
Yeah. So good point. I think, so mine is along the lines of that as well, right? Which one of the biggest mistakes that I feel I see, and I know a lot of people are going to relate to this, is all social proof. Like if I have to see I sold 270 homes like all week, my God, good for you, but no one cares. Like,
no
like they really don't. I sold X over X with like 17 offers. I get it, guys. That's great. But it's like a 5% of your content. You know what I mean? If that. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we see is just overly social proofing.
Sure.
And to what you said, absolutely, is like, think of it this way. When you guys are scrolling through a feed, if we hopped on Katie's stuff, right? Not now, but like, let's say Katie fell into this thing, and all you saw was pictures of Katie or a picture of a house, but no context behind, like literally, like you said, no caption. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, you know what I mean? And so there has to be a little context behind the photo. If that's all you're capable of doing is putting a photo, that's fine. But there's got to be a little context behind it. It can't be 2 words on a caption. But that's pretty much what we've been seeing,
That makes sense. And going back to the social proof, something that we have suggested over here is, like you said, maybe 5% of the in-feed content could be social proof. I think that's reasonable. But making a highlight on Instagram with social proof, I think is nice, because people can opt in to actually seeing your reviews. I've seen people take snapshots of their Zillow reviews or their Facebook reviews and then just upload those and save it to a reviews or whatever you want to call the highlight. And that's a nice way where people can actually opt into seeing that instead of you just shoving it down their throat, I think that's a nice way to do that.
Okay, so this is great, Katie. So let's break it down for them, because some folks on the call are like, what the hell is a highlight?
Yeah,
true. Right? You understand what I'm saying? So let's do this. Walk them through, and if you get stuck, I can help. How to, like, for me, for instance, on my highlights, it's all my accolades, right? Like featured in Forbes. So I've got Forbes and BuzzFeed and all that stuff. For agents, it could be a number of different things, like social proof, a brand new luxury listing, whatever it is, right? Behind the scenes of the team, things like that to make it a little bit more personal. Mm-hmm. How are they going to create a highlight? You want to just kind of walk them through real quick?
Sure. So basically, highlights are a way to archive Instagram stories. That's pretty much the simplest way to explain it. So stories themselves, if you're not familiar, they are disappearing pieces of content, whether it's a photo or a video, within 24 hours. If you're familiar with Snapchat, it was very similar to Snapchat, right? Instagram adopted that feature, similar to how they're adopting Reels inspired by TikTok, right?
They adopted or steal? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Either or. We'll leave that to Instagram.
We'll be nice.
Right. So as far as stories, this is where you could post like a little behind the scenes action, maybe a Q&A prompt, an invitation to a virtual tour, maybe home maintenance tips. Now, highlights, that's the portion on someone's profile. You might have seen little circles underneath their bio and underneath their profile picture, but before their actual feed. So these little circles are ways to segment and kind of chapter out certain pieces that you want to save from your Instagram stories, and you can keep them on your profile for however long. It kind of eliminates that disappearing aspect of Instagram stories. Now, highlights are really great for listing organization. If you have a lot of active listings, vendors elation, which kind of goes along with reviews that we were talking about, having a highlight of just celebratory videos of handing off keys or closing days, right? Common Q&As, that's a great one really for any business, but especially real estate professionals. Where are you located? What is your, what kind of homes do you work with? Whatever frequently asked questions you get, that makes a great highlight. And then reviews, like we were just talking about as well. But the great thing about highlights is it's the perfect place to host that social proof. It's the perfect place to host that vendor's elation while keeping your feed very conversational, very branded to you and your real estate business, all about your active listings, where your highlights are the archived parts of your business that you might want to share at a later date, or if someone just stumbles across your profile.
100%. It's like, it's like a walking billboard, right? So it's one of the first things, even for the mobile, like as soon as you pull up the Instagram app, you don't get to see really past the first couple of posts. All you're seeing is the bio and everything else, right? But the highlights are sitting right there. And it's one of the first things that everybody sees. So for everyone on the call, if there's so many different things that you can create with your highlights, I would highly suggest to have yourself or the team, your own team, create those highlights for your listings, for your reviews, just like Katie said. Question for you, because we have a question here. I have my take on it. I will really want to get your take on this.
Okay.
Should I use a ring light and it have a more production value type of video, or should I do it like raw and live?
Ooh, depends is my answer. For me, it depends on what you're posting. Now, if you are posting a long form video like an IGTV on Instagram, or even just the 1 minute mark, and it's a nice video of listings or a really nice introduction video that you're making, then sure, absolutely production quality is fine. If you're talking about stories, absolutely not. They do not need to be a massive production. They are meant to be in the moment, easily digestible. It really depends on personal preference. And I think it also very much goes to you and your brand and how you consistently present yourself. If you put one video on your feed with a ring light and then the next four don't have one, but then the fifth one does have one, then there's going to be a lack of consistency as well. So at the end of the day, it's personal preference. I don't think it's necessary for Instagram. Unless it is a really nice tour of a listing or something that you might use in multifaceted areas like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. But at the end of the day, for Instagram, people are meant to shoot them just right on their phone in the moment. And I think that's how the platform should be used. But again, it goes up to personal preference with that. I think there could be a difference as far as argument between in-feed videos and stories.
Yep. I agree. Actually, you hit it head on. It is a little strange if, you're constantly doing overly produced videos and you have that one in there that isn't, and you go back and forth. But to your point, definitely like the reels and the stories really is meant for it's a story, right? So it's just on the moment of what's happening right now kind of thing. And it makes it a little difficult if you're trying to upload overly produced things into your stories, but I agree wholeheartedly. We have a question here on should you post more on your Instagram stories or on your feed posts?
Well, as far as frequency, stories, you don't want to post probably more than once a day on your Instagram feed. Again, these algorithms end up flagging things as spam, even if you're not intentionally trying to spam your page, but they will flag it to be that way. So what Back At You does, the way that we automate your content over here, is scheduling things either every other day, or you can opt into having it be daily, but no more frequent than that. Stories, however, you can post multiple throughout the day. Like I said, 1 in every 5 stories results in a direct message. So go ham on the stories. That's fine. The one thing that I do see a lot, and this is mostly from, celebrity influencers, it's not so much on the real estate side of things, but when stories start to look like Braille at the very top of the screen where you've posted, 50 in one day, maybe it's a little excessive. I'm not sure how long the watch time will be on those, but you can post, a ton. I don't think it's really going to hurt you at all. If anything, it will only help you because it will be pushing your story to the front of everyone's home feed, and they will regularly at least be seeing your profile photo and your name, regardless if they click on the story or not.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because, depending on how many people that person is following. So if Katie's following 1,000 people, there's kind of a small, unless Katie's interacting with you quite frequently, there's a small chance she might see it on your feed. However, if you're posting multiple times a day on your stories, your face is going to pop up on that top row quite frequently. And, the stats are showing that a lot of the viewership is now shifting over to stories, right? To where people are going right to Instagram, is clicking stories and going through that. So I agree.
It's also a lot easier too to upload a story, and instead of planning out your feed, it's more in the moment. It's a lot effortless. So if you don't have time necessarily to schedule out your content, or if you don't utilize a service like Back At You who does that for you, and you just don't have the time, then you can very much be posting stories throughout the day with very minimal effort.
Yep, absolutely. Another question that I get, it wasn't proposed here, but I want to kind of get your take on it. We always have a question on what to post in the stories, because here's the thing, I think for us as our company, when we're dealing with, because we deal with more personal brand, right? Which is more Katie, the individual, versus Katie's real estate group, right? So our coaching around it is a little different, because, our philosophy is more of, it's great for an individual to show that you're in real estate, and to show your luxury listings, and to show that you are very knowledgeable with tutorials and things like that. But we are very heavy on the know, like, and trust factor. The problem that I see, at least for me, right, is I don't know shit about Katie. Is all I'm seeing is a house,
right.
House house. I know nothing about you. I don't know whether I like you or if you're terrible when I meet you, nothing, right? So when we coach around things, we normally talk, especially in stories, maybe more so in stories than anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
But we always talk about bringing, and I think it's very hard for a lot of folks, not just real estate agents, but real estate. I'm close to the real estate field and I love you guys, but a lot of you guys are stiff. All you want to do is show,
I know.
look at me, this guy, I know what I'm talking about, but they're failing to show the back end of the team, the struggles that you guys go through, going in the middle of COVID with a mask to listings and taking a photo of you with your MLS sheets. That is real. That is something that I can connect with. And that shows that you're hustling out there and we can see that. I think a lot of people struggle with it. I know I went off on a little tangent there, but like for stories, I truly believe that's kind of somewhere where people can live in the moment and be a little bit more vulnerable. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but give me your thoughts, because I think people do get stuck other than what like companies like Back at You can do, right? Which is really for you and it takes the workload. It doesn't necessarily mean, I think, that people need to stop doing everything, on their own, right? Because there's a personal element.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So that's why we over here give everyone the option to customize everything, give those personal touches. And then when it comes to stories, I think some of the best things, at least in 2020, that I have seen real estate professionals do is get on a story, ask for a Q&A prompt that they can later film a video and upload to their feed, or an invitation to a virtual tour. That's a great one for stories. Behind the scenes is always good. Just like you were saying, if you are setting up for an open house, show people what that looks like. People are nosy, people are curious, they want to see the process. And it's, again, we said this over and over, but it's bringing that social element back to social media. People don't want to just see a story that's a still image of a house. Every once in a while, that's great. That's your business. That's what you're supposed to do. But bringing that human element in is the reason that people want to work with you. We talk about this in a branding webinar that we do over here at Back at You, but people make decisions based on emotion first, and then they later justify with logic and your credentials and your wherewithal. So bringing that human element and your personality and your brand and just all of that to your stories is a great place to do that. So 100% agree.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think that's very, very important. I think all the agents on the call, I know a lot of agents have other agents, right, on their IGs and stuff. And I promise you, if you guys look at each other's feeds, they all look exactly the same, right? They're all built to where it's just listings, and every business page for every realtor is the same, right? Which that human element changes all of that, because no one is the same. No one is the same, right?
And even just having a niche as well on all social media platforms, whether you work with millennials, whether you work with luxury, really hone in on that. Even though you're narrowing your scope, it's going to end up breeding tons of people that want to work with you and your specific skill set. If you follow the Broke Agent, for example, on Instagram, a very hilarious meme account that's all about real estate, and that is the one specific thing, and that's the one thing that they do, and that is it. And it's great. It's great. And they're very successful in that one niche. So if you have something like that, whether you work with service animals or veterans, it could be anything. Or even if you're just an expert and a concierge in your community and you share a lot of community and local content, that's great as well. And something that we help out with here just by tapping into MLSs. And yeah, bringing your own personal touch, especially to stories and where people will be regularly seeing your face, hearing your voice. That's a wonderful place to have that outlet.
100%. So there's a question here. We can answer this one pretty quickly. I have a lot of followers. Michelle has got a question that says, I have a lot of followers on my personal page on Instagram. How do I transfer those followers to my business page, or do I have to start all over again? You want to answer that? Because this is very simple.
Yeah, very simple question. So you can actually convert your personal page to a business page on Instagram. It's very, very easy. If you do, I've heard the request a lot that people want that Facebook element where they have a separate business page, a separate personal page that's maybe private on Instagram. The platform itself has made it very easy to convert the one that you want into a business account. It's super simple. You won't lose your followers. You'll just gain access to analytics and all that good stuff we were talking about earlier. But with a personal page, they made it very easy to toggle in between the two. So if you like to keep your office and bedroom separate, so to speak, then you can easily switch between the two, have an account where you can post, your family pictures, your food pictures, your pictures of your dog, and then you can keep your separate one for business. So it's very simple. All you do is go through your settings, and the app itself walks you through the process pretty easily.
Yep, Michelle's super simple. Just go to settings, scroll down all the way to the bottom. It literally will say switch to business.
Right.
And if you have something on your feed that you're worried about when you did it in your 20s, go ahead and delete your photos and then have at it with your new followers.
Good advice. Good advice.
May want to do that before you make the switch. Cool. There is a question, Katie, on, is there an easy way to post on IG from your laptops, or is it purely meant to be mobile?
Well, it definitely was originally meant to be mobile. So that's always going to be Instagram's probably preferred method that you upload your content. There are ways, for example, with Back at You, we give you a desktop social media center where you can just upload all of your content into a scheduler, and then it'll automatically upload to Instagram. So there are ways like our platform to upload through your desktop, and you can still use Instagram features through your desktop. They're not nearly as intuitive than the mobile app itself. So yes, there are workarounds. I would suggest using the app as frequently as possible, unless you are using a third-party scheduling service where you can preview everything, and that way it's automated in advance. And especially someone that is an Instagram marketing partner that will ensure that you don't have to manually upload anything, or you don't just get a reminder to your phone to upload anything. It'll just do it for you.
Awesome. Let's talk real quick as the questions start rolling in here. What is your take on the bios? Because, there's a lot of different theories on how bios should be done. And, what do you feel is the best representation for an agent or just a professional in general, with the bios? Because, again, it's a walking billboard, right? So someone lands on you, they have to make a split decision whether I like Katie or not, and keep it moving through the feed to find out a little bit more. What's your take on that?
I think they are very, very underrated. I think they're incredibly important. With bios, if someone lands on your Instagram account, whether they saw you through the Explore page or a friend of theirs was following you or whatever the case may be, let's say someone's not following you, they land on your Instagram page. That alone is a win, but you have to compel them to stay or follow or interact. You have to compel them to take some kind of action. So every bio, but Instagram specifically, but really every bio, whether it's Facebook, whether it's your LinkedIn, your Twitter, it should include who you are. That's a no-brainer. And what you do. So many times I will see a name and maybe they have a professional looking real estate-esque headshot and maybe a key emoji in their bio, but it never says real estate professional or real estate agent or realtor. You have to tell people what you do. Also, where you conduct business, that's another mistake I see a lot. Time and time again, I will see people that will have all of that information and be posting beautiful houses, but unless I actually comb through the listings that they posted on their feed, which probably I'm not going to do, I don't know where you work. Do you work in Nashville? Do you work in Santa Monica? So that's very important. And then your contact information. You have to not only tell people how to use you, but also how they can contact you to use your services. And going back to the business profile, that's one of the best features of those business profiles. Is something that personal profiles do not have is a little call button, a little email button where people can just tap right there. Oh, yep, I'm interested. Let me call them. Let me email them. It makes the call to action so simple. Also, something I personally encourage is to use emojis to make things pop, whether it's even just an arrow, whether it is a house. Use those things to make it pop. Instagram is a visual platform first and foremost, and forever will be a visual platform. So bring those images into your actual bio itself. You only have a certain amount of characters, so use those images to, convey more than words can as well. It helps with branding too and establishing what kind of agent you are to work with.
100%. It draws attention, right? Directly to, it's hard to miss when you have all these emojis, on your line breaks on your bio. Another thing to consider, guys, is look, there is an SEO aspect of it, right? So with where you service, when people are searching, if they happen to be searching for San Diego real estate, there's a good chance you're going to pop up if you're saying I service the areas of San Diego and you have real estate in your bio. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. Another thing that we talk about, and tell me how you feel about this, because I do see a lot of people putting their website or a link tree. I think we may have talked about this on the last one. For me, and it's a personal thing, okay? But maybe it will resonate with some of you and maybe it won't. But I have a problem with putting that there. And the reason, and there's a bio link for what I'm talking about is on your bio. There's one link that you can actually put on the entire thing, unless, you have a swipe up in your stories and stuff like that. Which, you can put your website or you can put something else, right? A lot of people are putting Linktree or their personal website. And the problem that we have with it and what we advise our clients to do is when the consumer has so many different choices, they typically choose none. Right. So as an example, I click on a Linktree for Katie and there's 17 different links of social YouTubes and LinkedIn. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. Like, I don't even know where to go. There's nothing. The same thing with a website of, katiesrealestate.com, unless you're sending them to a section, and it's highly recommended that it's a lead capture or some sort of information capture, right? Typically, when you land on a website, you're just getting like about you, about the team, seller, buyer. Like, it's just, you have so many things you're looking at. And it's you're not asking me to do anything, right? So what we always recommend is just sending them to a singular call to action. Right. You know what I mean? Something like a home value or whatever it may be. Maybe it's a individual property website. You guys do that as well, right? So maybe exactly. So Back at You, when you guys sign up for Back at You, you take those links, you put them in the bio links, it's sending it to a lead capture that is a very specific property that you are able to change out almost like every day, every 10 minutes, and whatever it is that you want to do. You got a brand new listing, switch that link out. Back at You will get you another link, right? And keep sending into that versus something very broad.
Right. I completely agree. So over here, definitely, we always preach that you want the call to action to be absolutely crystal clear, and having just that singular call to action where it's a single property website, or it is a home valuation tool, or it's just even a contact me form that you could leave a little bit more generic so people can inquire about your services in general. All of that 100%. With Linktree, this is just my personal preference. It doesn't bother me if it's less than like 4 links. So if it's very minimal and very clean, I don't hate it. I do agree that, if people are going to jump through more hoops, they're likely to jump through none. That is very, very true. I would absolutely preach like swap out that link as often as you can or whenever you need to necessary, but keep it a singular call to action. If you do opt into using a Linktree or linkedin.bio, keep it to 3 or 4 at maximum links that you're going to be putting there.
Right, absolutely. So we have a question, which is, I think we touched on a little bit, but I can give my side of like the personal branding side, and then we can focus on the business real estate side as well. The question was, if we're, when we're talking about highlights, the question was, since we're putting the reviews and, your social proof in the highlights, what do I post in my feed then? If that's where we're housing it, that was the question, right? On a personal branding side, like the human element, right, is for us, the biggest thing is, I would really want to know, honestly, Katie, if you ran a team of 20 people, right, just me as a consumer, I'm watching your feed. I do want to see that you're a professional, you know what you're talking about, and, that you have social proof and your houses and your listings. Those are all great. Me personally, I really would love a behind the scenes with you and your kid getting ready for a listing. She's literally sitting on the side while you have MLS sheets out. It's still tying into real estate, but it makes it real because it makes me like you immediately, right? I will always lean towards, with any of our clients, towards giving a the back end of what's happening. When people ask me, how come I'm not getting any traction on my, tutorial on what to look for in a home inspection, is because that shit is boring. No one wants to sit through 10 minutes of you going, number one, you should never do this. No one watches that.
That's why
will
people
never.
have Google. They can Google it themselves. So,
Right, exactly. Now, however, on the flip side, you can literally say the same thing, but in real time, if you were at a home inspection and you pulled out the phone, it goes back to being like kind of in the moment. And you guys say, hey guys, I want to go through something that we just caught at this home inspection that I think you guys should know about. All right, come down here with me. You see this foundation, you see this big line crack. So now what's happening is you're bringing them into the moment, and you're about to give them a tutorial on what to look for a home inspection without giving a tutorial on what to look for a home inspection. You see what I'm saying? It is a much different approach. And again, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I think people are forgetting that there has to be some kind of connectivity to what we do. I love real estate. I have a very large team. I've been in this 20 years, but the God's honest truth is real estate is extremely boring to a lot of people.
sure.
And it is our job to bring what we do for a living by actually changing lives for home ownership, to the forefront, and they've got to connect with you in order to work with you. Anyway, that's what we lean on top of all the things that you should be doing as far as like posting on the feed. Do you have anything like that back at you suggests as well? I'm sorry, I went on this long thing about personal stuff, but I get so,
Great.
because I really care about the agents. I really do. And I really want to know, each and every one of them. I really do. But I just don't want them to all look the same. That's the biggest thing that I have is I just don't want you guys to be in a sea of agents that look the same. That's all.
Right. We all know that first impressions matter, but now more than ever, they matter so much online. Is it that you're posting crappy content, or is it that you are engaging with those that follow you? You are answering questions, you are being that expert truly in your field and in your community. So what Back at You does, going back to the question, if you're not posting social proof, then, what should we post? What we do is we pull from a bank of over 50 categories. So the very, very short answer here is going to be diverse content. Now, what does that mean? So whether it is local housing data, it could be a home maintenance tip, it could be an active listing, it could be a call to action for a home valuation page, it could be a local restaurant recommendation, or maybe a farmer's market nearby. All of these things are things that we do automatically for you. And we do make sure to really hone into local, very curated content that is going to reflect you and your brand. So that way, whenever you layer in those personal touches that Dean is talking about, it's like a 1-2 punch. Not only are you showing with empirical data that you know what you're talking about, but you're really giving that human element as well. And that way it's a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. That is dead on. Absolutely. We have a question, and this is a good one, actually. For at one point I had this as well. It's almost all my almost only realtors follow my Instagram professional account. How do I attract non-realtors? It's a good one, right?
All right. So we're going to be talking about hashtags, aren't we?
Well, that was a secondary question. Is do you have any idea about stories and hashtags and stuff like that?
Okay, got it. As far as attracting okay, first of all, attracting realtors is not a bad thing. That's a good business to business strategy. You work with other real estate professionals. That's good. Keep them on your side. As far as attracting non-realtors, going back to that whole engagement breeds engagement, do a little bit of digging on your own research, look up local people or local places, and then interact with people on social media that you've never met. They're going to say, hey, who is this person commenting on my dog saying that it's really cute? Click on your profile, see you're an agent, and that's how you kind of create that snowball effect. You engaging with other people is going to want them to at least check out who you are and what your profile is at the bare minimum. And at the most, follow you back, engage with your content, potentially be a lead or a referral at the end of the day. Also, with hashtags, I think that's an easy way to kind of get exposure, get engagement from people that are not necessarily real estate professionals. You will probably still attract some with real estate specific hashtags. But if you use localized hashtags, I like to use the example Nashville because that's where I'm originally from. But, hashtag Music City listing or Nashville restaurant, right? Even things like that are non-real estate related, and posting those things to your feed is going to attract less real estate professionals and more people that are local that may or may not be willing to buy and sell a house anytime soon, but it's all about that exposure. growing that over time.
Say that again, because that is very, I think for you guys who didn't get that, I think a lot of agents are programmed to put Nashville real estate or homes for sale or homes for sale in Nashville, right? What you said was very important because it doesn't involve real estate, but it is drawing it in. You want to repeat that one more time because I think it's important.
And I will even give a specific example. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I was talking with agents about how to still foster that sense of community. And one example I came up with was post a picture, let's say, of a bakery that you always get open house goodies from. It could be like a picture of donuts. It has nothing to do with a house. But in the caption, you would say something like, I absolutely love Five Daughters Bakery. I always use them before my open houses. And then use the hashtag Nashville Bakery, Nashville Restaurant, Music City Foodie. I don't know, anything that is non-real estate related, but in the caption, you still talk about how you're setting up for open houses. Your Instagram handle is still about conducting real estate. Your bio shows that you're a real estate professional, but that way you're fishing in a market that has nothing to do with real estate. It has people that love that community and the restaurants and the food in it. That's one of my favorite strategies as far as attracting people in your community that live there or love there that don't necessarily practice real estate there.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to give you guys one more to tag on to that because she just dropped a huge little nugget for you. So I would highly recommend to use that. So in 2019, my real estate team did 22 transactions of just Instagram only. That was just 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, right. 22 deals, $250,000 in commissions came from just IG. Okay. And obviously they get the benefit of me and Sharon owning a company that was, built around social media. So we kind of coached them through it. Last year, it was 37 deals. We finalized for 2020, it was 37 deals. The way that we do it for everyone in the call is every single client is on social media. They are our followers on IG, every single one of them. A lot of you have databases that are thousands deep, okay? There's nothing wrong because, and mind you, in wherever area you're from, please check with your brokerage and what you can do. But there is nothing wrong with offering a database of 10,000 people, maybe a giveaway of a free appraisal, if your lender is willing to do it, ours was, to follow you on IG. Now, what happens is you have to understand the way that we cranked out 37 deals is we spend so much time on how can we get in front of people, more frequently. Number one, social media is the absolute best place. It is literally the ultimate drip system. All right. The ultimate drip system. They can see you, especially if they're following your stories 10 times a day, just depending on how many times you're posting. Right. The cool thing is if you're taking the strategies that Katie and I are talking about, they not only are going to get to know you personally, they're going to get to know how much of a baller you are. And I promise you that a conversation is going to be so much easier when they already know everything about you. And the way to do that, and the way that we've done it, is we've part of our presentations where it's a listing or an escrow or whatever, is we make sure the agents are adding them on every single time to their social media. And that is the way that you're going to get followers that are loyal followers. And I promise you, if you guys do this over a 12-month period, there is no way in hell that you're not going to get a referral out of that alone. Agreed. On top of the master hashtag strategies she just gave you.
No, I completely agree. And the great thing about getting those clients and following them is as long as you also continue to interact with them and continue to stay top of mind, then you're not going to fall into that percentage where people don't refer their past real estate agent that they use.
Right.
So as long as you're regularly engaging, social media is very much an I scratch your back, you scratch mine mentality. Going back to the bakery example that I was using, if you tag that bakery, they might post that on their stories. They might share that to their own feed and tag you back. And the same thing goes with your past clientele as well, and just staying regularly engaged with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So Katie, we're respectful of time for these folks here and yours. You are amazing. by the way.
Amazing, by the way.
And I know, look, for you guys, there's 70 of you on right now on the Zoom and a ton of you on live. If you have not checked out Back at You, first of all, super inexpensive for what they do. Holy crap. I know all of you can fit this into the budget, but you got to go check them out. Katie, you have something special for them, right? That you want to drop for them?
Yes. The link is going to be here in the Zoom chat. I will just put it right there. And I believe it's going to be put in the Facebook chat as well. Basically, we are offering anyone who is watching this right now or watching a recorded version of this, a $250 pretty much money in your pocket kind of promo. We're giving you $150 off any of our plans, whether you do a month-to-month plan, an annual plan, no matter what you choose to opt into, we will give you $150 off, and then $100 just in your pocket to spend on either Facebook or Instagram ads or postcards. If you would want to do some print, we also do that too. But essentially everything that we've talked about today in terms of automating your social media presence, making it easy so that way you don't have to regularly think about every single thing we talked about today, maybe only 25% of the talked about today. We take all of that off your plate, and we have an awesome coaching team over here as well, where you can have these kind of conversations one-on-one with us. So if that's something y'all are interested in, wanted to give you this deal. It's going to be valid through the end of the week. So I believe that's the 8th. Is that right? So make sure to take advantage of it if you're interested.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll have it also on, you guys will get emails on the replay. Everything will be on there. Katie, where can they find, look, besides Back at You, you're an amazing wealth of knowledge. What is your IG handle and how can these folks follow you?
Oh, well, if you want to follow me, I don't post anything, about real estate on my personal social media platform. If you want to follow my Instagram, it's just at Katie Callaway, KatieCallaway. Pretty simple.
Katie right now is actually going to go and delete all these pictures because I just
I'm going to go first.
700 people over to Katie. She was like, holy crap, now I got to delete all my 20s Cancun pictures. No, so for you guys, Dean Aguilar, that is the IG handle. I'd love for you guys to follow me. Send me a quick DM if you have any questions. Katie, you're amazing.
You're amazing. Also, y'all, if you have any questions just about Back at You and you don't fill out the form or anything like that, just email hey@backatyou.com. That actually goes directly into my email inbox, and I can either answer your question or direct you to someone who can. So feel free to keep this conversation going. We love talking with you guys, and that's exactly what our company does.
Love it. All right, guys. Have a blessed week. Happy New Year, and let's crush 2021.
Hell yeah. Happy New Year, guys.